And as you would expect, today's papers are full of it. And here to talk us through some of the front pages, what's inside, is our reporter Mark Lobel once again. Hello, Mark. So, you wanted to start with the front page of The Guardian, the final farewell.
All of the pictures, Sally, are focusing on the pageantry, on the service, and that's partly due to the fact that there was no security glitch. And that's one of the reasons The Guardian says this was such a success. I mean, this security operation was on a larger scale than that of the Platinum Jubilee, of London's 2012 Olympics. 10,000 officers were deployed. There were only 67 arrests in London. They laid out mile upon mile of barriers.
Yes.
And so kind of huge pride in the way that that was carried out. So that's kind of the first point that the papers make and why they're able to carry the coverage that they do. And then focusing in on the future king, you know, second in line to the throne, 9-year-old Prince George, and his sister, Charlotte, 7-year-old.
Oh, my goodness. Many, many eyes were on them throughout the day. I mean, I was watching them there on that front row next to their mum and dad, next to King Charles, of course. Last farewell to their beloved Gan is the headline here in today's Express.
That's the nickname that Catherine said George has for his grandmother. That great photo that you're showing of him looking up and capturing that camera in the roof in Westminster Abbey.
Yes, we'll show that one. I mean, I thought they did so well. So age 7,
the
age
eyes
9.
Of the world
I mean,
on them.
I've got 3 boys, and I know what it takes to keep a boy at the age of 9 from running around, climbing trees, or causing mayhem for that long. I mean, they did so well. And that's what the papers are saying.
There's exactly, the Telegraph saying, during the hour-long service, they made a valiant effort to sing unfamiliar hymns and studied their orders of service carefully. A beat behind their older relatives, they caught sight of the right moment to pay their respects and bobbed obediently. I mean, every move.
I mean, even
examined.
in the car, when the cameras were on them, you know, when they were after the actual funeral service in Westminster Abbey, they were travelling then to Windsor. You could just see them sitting really well in the car.
Yeah, and
not a screen in
11
sight.
days ago, they were starting a new school, and this was not on the horizon. So they did incredibly well.
They did.
Front page of The Sun.
Okie dokie, let's
what
find
they call
the
the
Sun.
biggest farewell in history. We sent her victorious. What's interesting about this is the focus on the armed forces. 11 days we've had people standing guard, of course, in Westminster Hall, and all the pageantry that's taken place has been thanks to their discipline, their timing, their service.
And rehearsals.
Exhausting stuff. So if we have a look at the Times cartoon, Morton Maudland, this is probably how they look now.
The morning after.
We did her proud, he says.
Exhausted, absolutely exhausted.
But, you know,
But also some are saying that perhaps it's, you know, their grief as well, a chance to grieve now that their military duty is over today.
Exactly. I think that encapsulates that in this brilliant sketch. Also, we're beginning to see within the commentary sections in the papers what this means for the future of the monarchy, and split opinions, as you'd imagine. In The Guardian, Jonathan Freedland saying, did we bury more than a much-loved matriarch? He recognises, you know,
what page are we on, Mark?
Page 7.
All right.
6 and 7. The queue that we've been talking about for ages. He says, for 5 long days, around the clock, we witnessed a slow-motion people's funeral as Britons queued up for the right to say a brief personal goodbye. So a good way to put it, a people's funeral. But he then says, is it, if it turns out that it was the magic of Elizabeth rather than the crown that people were, you know, mourning, then it's not clear how long there'll be a united kingdom, and also whether the cost of a hereditary monarchy will come up now the Queen has died. That view is pushed back on by Max Hastings in The Times, who basically says, you know, this is not a time to kind of regret. This was just part of history, but there's a bright future ahead too.
Well, that's what will happen now, isn't it? Now that the period of national mourning has come to an end and Her Majesty the Queen has been laid to rest and the state funeral has happened, you would expect that we will start to see the commentary coming through in the media, in the papers, about the future of the royal family and the monarchy.
And the future is looking pretty male. is the point that Helen Rumbelow is making in the Times. This is the start of a reign of old men. Assume the brace position, she says. It has now become clear that to serve a queen feels more consensual than to serve a king. Even Donald Trump strived to be on his best behaviour around Queen Elizabeth. She says the 21st century will be dominated by British kings, and she's not looking forward to it. Pushed back by Camilla Tominey in the Telegraph.
There's the other side of that story in the Telegraph.
It might not quite be a case of Charlie's Angels, but it certainly comes close. She says, from Anne's sterling work ethic to Camilla's role as the king's rock, with Sophie and Kate both bringing a welcome dose of normality to this more than 1,000-year-old institution, the newly slimmed-down firm appears in safe hands. The formidable Windsor women, she says, will be pivotal to the king's successful reign.
Yeah, and I have to say there's something to be said for the formidable Windsor women. And if we just show the viewers that article there, where it talks about, you know, the women at the right hand of these men. We've got the Queen Consort, of course, and the Princess of Wales, Catherine, of course, as well. So all this in the papers. Now, Mark, before you jump onto another story, I feel we have to mention that for our viewers on BBC One, this could be the last we see of Mark Lobel for a period of time. Is that right?
Yes, this was my
He's
end of 2
going to
years,
disappear from our
2
screens.
years as a vampire.
Well, it's been lovely to have you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.